nature. And we've been using and we've been constructing virtual worlds for thousands of years to allow us to collaborate in ever greater numbers. It's not my thesis, this is the thesis of Yuval Noah Harari, the author of Sapiens and Homo Deus.
一站是不是要重新起一下，还是他直接就可以？应该可以。
It has some very intriguing ideas in there. And the third area is how do we maximize our own unique qualities as human beings? You know, how do we develop greater empathy? How do we sharpen our general intelligence? Because that's really what brought us to where we are today. If you look again at education systems, they're very good at narrowing very quickly and developing specializations. I think we need to sharpen our general intelligence and sharpen our ability to continue collaborating in great numbers. So that's on the side of the educators. That's what I think educators need to be focused on. The AI community? Well, my call to action is for the AI community to engage with educators. And I think, again, I think Robo Terra is doing a really terrific job in this respect. And thank you to Yao and the team for convening this conference. So the AI community needs to work with educators to help us develop the kind of curriculum that I spoke about. But then also, and again, I'm really encouraged that right after this session, we're going to have a workshop on the ethics of AI, because I think that's a really key dimension here. And I think we need to acknowledge that design choices that we make as an AI community are not ethically neutral. And therefore, we need to go some way towards developing perhaps a code that will shape how this AI will develop. And my honest proposal in this regard is perhaps we need to think in terms of developing an ethical code of conduct for the AI community. Again, I'm quite hopeful because if you look at parallel fields, biology, chemistry, the overwhelming majority of biologists and chemists today are not working to weaponize smallpox and develop the next generation of sarin gas. And so as an AI community, I would suggest an ethical code along the lines of, say, the Hippocratic Oath. First, no harm, and then a commitment to improving, to using AI to improve the human condition. So with that, let me conclude again by thanking Robo Terra and saying how pleased I am that WISE is partnering with you in this conference. And thank you for listening to me. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Stavros, for just opening up the conversation and just really helping to set the scene for our conference as well. Our next speaker is someone I've had the pleasure of working with very closely. Yao Zhang, founder and CEO of Robo Terra, has been working in the education and technology field for more than a decade. And I just have so much to say about her because we work so closely, but I'd just like to invite her up to the stage.
We're definitely a team because they work for me all the time. While my team members offer me help, actually that's most of the cases, most of the time. I just want to thank you again, everyone, and really welcome you to be here to this very first conference on curiosity. And then I think our hashtag, Do Curiosity, is setting up. So while we're waiting, I will start by reminding you why we choose this location, the Computer History Museum. Actually, there's one room right across the hall. The name is called the Longest Room. And then that room is named after Lady Ada Lovelace. And then her family name before she got married was actually Baron, the Baron of Lord Baron. And then why Lady Ada Lovelace became the founding mathematician for the modern computational algorithms. Being a woman, lived through the late the 18th century. There was a strong tie from her family background, and then I will only review the reason in the very end of my talk today. So my talk today will be about how we're really seeing AI and robotics are reshaping education with so many changes, so that we can really know what are the action plans we can take and some of the good examples we can look for when we're preparing our children for this future that's here already. Yes, I love this. So, just like the love story, that's one, one thing I'll review, and then another question I'll leave to you is, I want you to imagine if you're all a group of 16 years old, just go back when you're in high schools. So we're thinking about when you're 30 years old, right? What will be the jobs in year 2030? Because that is basically when the high schoolers today, they are leading many positions in different companies. So what will be the jobs for them by then? And that's a question I was asked. I didn't ask. I was asked by so many students that I'm meeting when Robo Terra goes out to talk or work with the almost 1,000 schools worldwide in more than 30 countries. And then they actually asked me one question, and which is, again, bring us back to the history of this location here. How old is internet? Who knows the answer? How old is internet? Back 30? The internet is actually 50 years. And then, of course, we all know the iPhone is basically a phenomenon that came out 10 years ago. An iPhone being a product of a group of bunch of innovations in mind, which are not really inventing many new technologies, but a lot of technology existed already. But because of how genius Steve Jobs is, that he invented the product model of iPhone that combined and connected so many existing technologies, actually created so many new jobs that even didn't exist 10 years ago. For example, app store managers, app algorithm, app store credit managers, right? So that's why this question, when I've been asked by the students, what will be the jobs in 15 years? That's so hard to answer if things are happening so fast. So very briefly, this is the point I want to touch today. So what is really the trend globally that we're seeing in both policies and also technologies that's affecting the jobs in the future for our children today? And what is the opportunities and also challenges for us that's working in education and tech broadly? And whether there are some good design principles we can follow, whether you are from the policy community, the education community, or the product community. So this is what we want to share a little bit. And then again, looking at the year 2030. So if we want to imagine, yes, it's so hard to know exactly what will be the jobs on LinkedIn by then for our children, but we may know the general direction, right? So NASA, right? the NASA aims right here. They announced the big 2030s human boots on Mars plan, which has been going. And great countries such as India, Russia, and even some countries from other parts of the world, like the UAE, many countries joined this mission and then are also launching their Mars mission for the upcoming 10 to 20 years. So if there are humans on Mars by then already, and not to mention SpaceX and then Blue Origins and many of the great private companies trying to enter this space as well. So that means because of the knowledge spillover effect, because of how technology will spill over from the space community to many other civilian community, and then many new jobs will be created. So that is the future we're looking at. And then maybe many of the high schools today that you know, they will be the ones actually sitting in some a control room, actually orienting or managing traffic between Earth and also Mars, or managing communication protocols there. And then we have to be concerned about Martian environment protection. So those are all real on the horizon. But when we talk about the very fast-changing technology landscape in this upcoming 10 to 20 years, a lot of times sentiments are negative, especially for the general public. When you tell people, hey, I work in robotics or AI, and we use AI and robotics in teaching, and then even many students, parents, and some teachers will be like, oh, does it mean that you'll be replacing my job, and then, or my children's job, and then should I take it or not? So it's fear, just like the fear that we saw in the society when AlphaGo defeated the best human chess master. So there are different type of futures in the general public's mind. Some are optimistic, too optimistic that they just assume humans will be served by all sorts of robots, service robots, so that humans end up by doing nothing but consuming all the services and pleasure. Another more negative kind of worldview is like the one depicted in the movie Matrix. So AI or supercomputers are controlling humans. They're even farming humans in different ways. So either type, that's not the most ideal. So let's take a quick look of what are the discussions in the global policy community, as Stavros mentioned. Besides the fear and concerns, we should have action plans together. And then, so let's see how that's going. What we've been seeing in the past 2 or 3 years, and including myself, serving on the global councils on AI and robotics, being an AgTech person, indeed, we're seeing a lot of challenges are described and then concerned, from Davos to New York UN to Berlin, and then many different venues. But another common agreement or knowledge, many of even our colleagues here will agree, is that data is new crude oil, and then with humans, yes, we either are controlled by AI or become AI. So if we compare how AI will develop with similar development stage for internet, right, for web, there's a pre-web era that when computers are just still individualized, not connected. And then when you joined the Clinton administration, that there was this internet high-speed information highway project connected the world, so that brought our world into the Web 1.0, and then later on, Web 2.0 era, now being mobile, that's generating so much data about individual and also enterprise behaviors, allowed the richness of big data, or the data ocean, and then which became the base for a lot of the machine learning, deep learning algorithms that improve AI. So big data, AI, that's a trend. It's exponentially happening. And many great innovators in this space, and then we had the privilege actually to have some of the great companies here, offering insights at our conference as well. The very famous, interesting device, Amazon Echo, and that represents one trend that hardware and different sensory modules are put together, but runs upon AI, and then that provides different services in human lives. And then there are companies like NVIDIA providing new ways of computational power to run many algorithms. And then other tech leaders, of course, like Google or other startups like Databricks, they're working on improving algorithms or many other aspects of AI, because AI is a bunch of different technologies. It's not something, just one single dimension. And as Crunchbase organized, that AI is affecting every industry. And then because of this trend, back to jobs, we are indeed seeing whether the number of jobs available or the payment for the jobs related to AI and data are exponentially increasing as well. So if this is the future our children today are facing, well, we couldn't predict what are exactly the job descriptions are for 2030, but we know that's a direction. So shall we just only train our children, today's students, with, for example, machine learning algorithms, skills, or coding only? And then that's another question. And then, but I think what's more interesting question that we should ask is, now we know this exponential trend. And then the question we should ask is, what makes human human? If, yes, robots and AI are doing so many dirty work, repetitive jobs. And we believe, especially my colleagues at the Robo Terra team, cognitive scientists, engineers, designers, together we actually believe AI and robots development, they will create new jobs. And then, so that's why we should base our prediction about the future on the right principle, so that we, in education and technology, can together design the right products to prepare our children for the right future. So what makes you human, right? We learn different from computers, of course, and then we learn non-linearity, and then that's how this most amazing thing in this universe can happen. This word, creativity. Or we also believe in some way it's interchangeable to our conference name, curiosity. So there are many design principles, and then design as a profession has been evolving so fast for all engineering sectors. We actually wanted to call out loud for this, for our profession, design for creativity. What does design for creativity mean? Is that you just give more tools? Is that you just let kids play? Is that you just let them explore without instructions? We believe it should be about what makes human human. So a human-centric design principle for the AI products for learning. Here are just some quick examples I want to share so that we can go to exactly what we mean by design for creativities. So as we mentioned, AI is a bundle of technology. There are many aspects of it, and then through different pathways, it's affecting all the sectors. So that means the entire world is affected by them, whichever industry our children is going to work in. And one of the most impactful robotics high school competitions today, they actually provide very good cases as a good learning that encourages human creativity in this process. This is a photo from 2 years ago, a Silicon Valley regional of the first robotic competition. And then what FRC provides to students are standard motor aids. An wheel being the controller board, and then some other control stations, and then shared software that allows students to design different structures, solve engineering, mathematical or physical modeling problems when they're building the robots. And every year, the robotic challenge is different. 1 year it's about tosing, a frisbee, and next year it's about picking up garbage, mocking a situation that the robot might be a Mars rover and collecting crystals or garbage from the future space. So modularization, shared software allows individualization and open challenges. With those design principles, Roboterra and many of our colleagues in Silicon Valley will start to adopt those principles that we saw are really engaging to student learning. And those are examples of the modularization and open challenge examples in robotics kits for the younger age groups. And then these are the ones last year and then 2 years ago, what students made as different robots. Yeah, because this is PDF, so I couldn't show how the robots move. But open challenges and modularization actually allows unlimited possibilities. So this is really the process of how you induce creativity. Talking about Mars, in the open challenge designs, we actually actively engage many of the educators community to think what can be the future challenges happen in the human to Mars mission, so that in today's robotic challenges, we can design the challenges on planet Earth that students try to solve. So again, this couldn't be gifts of the robots, but today's best robots built by our best engineers, right, at NASA or Stanford or many of the leading institutions, those robots are having many issues, even they're made by the best AI engineers together as well. The autonomous functions are not there yet. The robots couldn't really walk. They couldn't find the objects, even in rescue missions. So this is the highest level of our today's robot and AI technology frontier. But with the right design principle of allowing modularization, trial and error, and then of course backed upon big data services, we have the confidence that in this upcoming future where jobs are not being described today accurately, but we know the trend in the future, creativity empowered by machines can allow humans to thrive in all potential challenges. And then that's how we believe that, for sure, in another 12 to 15 years, it will be one of the high schoolers today standing there and then taking this photo instead of a robot. That's our belief. And then that's our call for action that I hope in all our work, whether you are from the education or product, technology, or policy community, think what does design for creativity mean for your work, and then think how human-centered, human-driven principle can be one key center for that. And very lastly, why Lady Lake and Ada Lovelace became the founding mathematician for modern computational algorithms, because she believed that it's from her father's very romanticism impact that protected her creativity and curiosity, and that led her to become one of the first and best mathematicians for modern computation. Thank you.
所以我觉得行政长官把他的改回中。
我们这是一个 AI 和教育为主题的这个会议，刚刚给我们介绍的是这个特拉的 CEO， 所以呢，我们接下来呢是有其他的这个 speaker 继续跟我们去分析我们 AI 在教育里面的影响。那希望大家继续关注我们的直播。
Our morning session will end at 11, and then we'll start our workshop at 11:05. So one of the questions directed to both of you guys throughout Twitter, out of curiosity, is what do you see are the more promising trends within AI application?
We definitely are seeing that all companies pay a lot of attention to data. Maybe many companies, whether they are SaaS today, whether they're serving the B2B or business to school, to teachers sector, or they're working to serve students directly, and then they have an app, they have a software, or they have other more traditional ways of just trading contents. Data is definitely on people's mind, and then people start to pay a lot of attention of how to collect more data, how to log more behaviors about learning, and then so that sooner or later they hope from maybe the big platforms that can allow different services and tech components to run some of the analysis and show or review insights there that can be built into products or services.
And my perspective from sort of education standpoint is we actually don't know an awful lot about how learning works, the science of learning. And so my hope is that with AI, with neuroscience combining together, we might actually begin to crack the code of what makes learning effective and efficient, and then translating that back into our schools, into the way that we learn.
The question directed to you, Starbucks, is how is Rock specifically preparing for the education for
Well, I mean, we're trying to do that, well, first of all, by engaging, and that's the reason we're here, and again, very, very grateful to you guys for convening this conference. So we're engaging, we're trying to understand, we're trying to learn ourselves how AI could potentially impact education. And as I said in my remarks, I think it's also about trying to figure out how do we get ahead of the curve in some respects, and see if we can influence the development of this very powerful technology. So I don't know if this is a good time to make the announcement, but another way we're doing that is we're actually partnering with Terra to research the space, try to figure out who out there is doing what in AI and education, and try to glean some of the trends and directions that could take. We're also putting together a white paper on the subject as well that we hope to put out later this year.
The question to you guys both is, how have you seen EdTech and AI affect student outcomes? What are the more promising outcome-driven results you've seen?
So with the accumulation of data and also the prevalence of mobile devices or wireless devices used in different scenarios, that wider individualization or personalization is definitely became more and more available and accessible. With lots of learning apps and, to allow students, to allow teachers to track students' learning, to allow teachers to give feedbacks, or just even manage student groups and manage classrooms. Or even just assign homeworks. Rasmus mentioned the other day that the most recent, largest unicorn in EdTech in the world today, they raised, in terms of funding at least, just closed $250 million funding. So that's a company basically using AI to help teachers assign homeworks. But because of those technologies development, that communications and also feedbacks became better, and then that can solve issues such as good teachers are always very limited, any good learning resources are always limited. So these can become more accessible to students. So because of this, we can see increased access to better quality of content, and then naturally we expect to see better learning results.
I think intuitively we've always understood that learning by doing is actually a more effective way of retaining and absorbing knowledge than simply just passively receiving the knowledge. And I think what's really exciting is about some of the technologies coming out of Silicon Valley and elsewhere is that it allows a lot more learning by doing to be accessible to a lot more people at a lower cost. So again, I mean, I think if we can get the science to back this up, then that could potentially be very transformative of the way we deliver education in schools and elsewhere.
Thank you. I see we're just at time right now. Thank you so much for this teaching.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So right now we'll be taking a 15-minute break and then convening back here, and our workshop will be starting in 5 minutes.
对车间的小调整，包括中场也可以再穿插一下，告诉大家。
哎，怎么了？
他那个调过来，根本
这样在给你做广告。啊，现在是还是在直播的状态。
还是在直播的状态。还是要在。
多大？
就不要追着人，就差不多其实这样可以，因为它看到后面。
好。
对，现在还是直播状态是吧？就是我现在不知道有多少人在看这个直播哈，就我们的这种用户量就是我们的收看的这个有多少，但是我可以趁这个中场休息的时候跟大家简单介绍一下我们今天的会议。而且呢，我想我首先要感谢这个我刚刚旁边的那位彩云小丽的 CEO， 就是我发现这个应用非常的好，因为我知道现在很多这个世界大同所谓的这种 AI 是进入了全世界范围的这个未来生活的一个路上，但是呢，很多比如说国内的朋友，如果他英文不好的话，他想关注硅谷的一些科技会议的时候，他非常的难，因为可能他很难去理解这些内容。但是彩云小艺今天非常完美的解决了这个问题，就我们可以看到这个屏幕下方现在它直接是这个英文对译成中文的。当然，他们好像可以，这个彩云小艺本身是可以
确实绿色的这个
对会更清晰一点，就是说
没关系，我们
没关系，因为我们
在跟那个对方聊天啊。
对，我们刚刚因为有一些那个观众来回馈一下，说我们的这个字体是绿底白字，是更利于我们的阅读，所以我们刚调整了一下，希望我们看直播的时候会更加的舒服一点。然后我们继续说，我们现在这个你就可以看，虽然它已经是我所看到的一些翻译软件里面，它的这个复译的这个词汇量相对来说最精准的一个软件了，所以我是蛮推荐这个彩云小艺的，因为我自己下了一个 APP， 它直接可以实现你在这个软件上你说的这个语言直接就可以转换成你想要它呈现，比如说英语，他们现在好像主要是支持这个日语、英语和中文3种语言，对，你可以同时你就直接这样子去说，你们马上就可以在那个 APP 下载。尤其是我们像我们这个会议呢，它可以直接呈现这个翻译对译的这个中文，所以呢，我们即便是有一些的这个差距，这个词汇的差距，可是你至少可以大体了解这些人在探讨什么。那我们为什么今天我们的这个主题是 AI 在教育领域，而且这是全球第一个这个好奇心主题，以 AI 和教育结合的这样的一个论坛。我们今天请到的是非常著名的，就是在教育界，他们每一年会办的一个颁奖仪式，被称为教育界的诺贝尔奖，所以这个好像还蛮牛的。就是你即便不是搞教育这个领域的人，可是呢，我们每个人都是经历教育长大的，而且我们很多人如果是为人父母的，也会对我们的下一代进行教育。那 AI 是在这个时代当中是你无法去忽视的，它已经方方面面的进入了我们的生活。所以今天的这个探讨就是做这种结合。那如果你们可以仔细关注我们的很多 speaker 人，我不知道你们有没有看到我们的那个网站介绍，你可以在网上搜索一下好奇心大会然后可以了解一下我们更多的资讯。所以现在是休息的时间，大家可以先去 先去这个自己也休息一下。接下来我们的下半场的会议呢，会有这个更多的这个 speaker 去讲解。你们在这个网上也可以搜索，就是我们的微信上面可以搜索萝卜太辣这一个公众号，就上面就有我们这个好奇心大会的这一个详细的一些介绍内容介绍。哎，我还蛮好奇那个彩云小艺的，就现在主要就是三种语言。
对。
哦，那
中文是有3种语言。
是吧？那什么时候会开发更多的语言？
我们在今年年底的时候会有大概15种语言。
哦 ，OK， 好酷！所以我真的超级推荐这个彩云小艺。我昨天试了一下，直接说它直接就会翻译，你完全是随身携带的，而且还不需要另花钱去买一个机器去做这个翻译。我觉得这还蛮酷的。好，支持大家现在就试一下。我们先去看一下，他们跑去休息了，大家也可以顺便休息。接下来的演讲嘉宾知道是谁？小心肝在里面。刚才又听到一些那个直播观众的这个反馈，说有点看不清那个台上这些人的这个演讲者的脸。你们想看清他们的脸呢，就像我说的，关注一下萝卜太辣的这一个公众号。萝卜太辣不是卖咸菜的，它是一个科技教育机器人公司那我是这个公司的运营经理，但是呢。我想大家上面就可以看到非常清晰的画面，因为我们现在这个彩云小艺的这个同步直播呢，主要的目的是希望一些非英语类的这个观众能够了解大家在讲什么，所以呢，我们主要看内容，所以呢，他们的脸看不清呢是有一点点遗憾，但是我们的这个机位没有办法摆在中介，所以就只能靠大家的强大的联想力，然后自己去搜图片，然后你就可以脑补一下他们的这个脸就可以了。我们接下来的这个整个流程，因为一个是你们可以，一个是你们可以观看的这个字幕的提示，还有就是我偶尔会在这个串场的这个中途跟大家稍微的讲解一点点，主要是看这些字。当然有些据彩云小艺的这些同事们就说呢，如果有一些不够精准的地方，也可以提出一些意见来，尽情的弹弹幕吧，好吧，继续观看，好。
要开好。
这个也好棒，不能从哪走吗？
可以快点，快点。
要蹲下吗？
蹲下就是我们这个非常特别的这个直播。
哦，
哎，
那我们可以把它端起来吗？
不是，你可以根本你这样子会不稳定，那个线不会
这样，那我们放高一点呗，不是这样，咱们俩在这儿。哦，光线不对了是吗？你要小心。
没关系。对，我非常荣幸，就刚刚在台上有观众反映看不清脸的这位 CEO 呢，我现在请到了就是Robo Terra 的这个 CEO， 那你可以简单介绍一下，你刚刚用中文直接再去讲解一下你刚刚讲的大概不需要。
不，我觉得我再讲一遍的话，可能都没有彩云 AI 这个翻译的好。
啊，对，那当然，你可以简单介绍一下我们的这个 AI 主题的这个教育大会主旨是什么？
对，那谢谢 Amber 啊，真的是非常荣幸。Robo Terra 罗伯泰拉呢，作为在硅谷的教育和人工智能教育机器人人工智能领域的这样一家新创公司，那么我们得到了很多这个领先人工智能类公司同行的支持，然后呢为大家带来了在硅谷的第一场教育和人工智能大会。那主题呢是好奇心，所以大会叫做好奇心大会。它最重要的核心价值观是因为我们相信，无论技术怎样变化，人本是最重要的。人工智能算法，从算法到数据，到进入产品后成为这个产品的一些具体的这个 features， 它都应该是从人的需求出发，以增强人的能力，以及实现人更好的这样一种幸福生活为目标。那么对于教育领域来说，就是应该帮助学生们更好的学习，让人更好的发展，而不是比如说把这个人类变成由机器人圈养的一群只会消费的这样的一种情景。所以说以人为本为设计原则来组织和推动人工智能和机器人在教育领域的发展，这是我们大会的主旨。那么也感谢因为我知道在华语世界，无论是中国还是其他的区域，可能都已经是非常晚了，是凌晨，所以谢谢大家在线来关注我们的大会。那么希望呢大家持续关注我们在之后所有的会议的内容，尤其是很多嘉宾的这个访谈，包括今天可能大家没有办法在现场参加的这个亚马逊云对人工智能的具体的培训，有很好的这个面向教育社群的培训模块，以及这个NVIDIA 很好的培训模块。那么我们在之后呢都会逐渐的变成这个非常棒的学习内容向我们的社区开放，所以请大家持续关注。那也再次谢谢这个彩云 AI， 真的是很给力啊！我们在现场可以看到翻译还是非常不错的，因为我在去年的时候呢，在达沃斯会议的时候呢，看到了其他的这个我们中国的 AI 公司在进行这个同传翻译。那么今天的中文是我看到已经是非常像人的自然语言了，真的非常棒。
我还有一个问题很好奇，就是我想是代表一些可能非业界人士问的这块，就比如说我知道你们公司做的产品是这种 AI 教育，就是做这个机器人教育。那这个机器人教育在我们未来就如何我们在边去学习操控它们的同时，不去被成为一个机器的奴隶？
就像我刚才分享一样，我觉得如果要简化成一句话来说呢，所谓以人为本，在我们的产品中就是不要把一切都给了学生，不要把一切都给了人，或者是我们在产品设计中，在我们的机器人套件设计中，要刻意的制造挑战感，从而让学生和孩子们在学习的时候呢，可以从小组的去解决很多的开放性的问题。只要人大脑在动，在想办法解决问题，那么这样的学习过程的路径的终点就会是好奇心得到保护，创造力得到发挥，那我们对人类就有希望了。
那么你觉得语言在比如说我们为什么今天需要这个采编小语，是因为还有很多人是非英语的，他可能不能理解一些，但是所谓的学会英语的人毕竟是一个 国际性的，可以让他们了解到世界上更多范围的内容。可是你觉得语言会为什么会有这样？
所以呢，我在这儿就是衷心的对于像彩云 AI 以及其他的各种各样的这个 AI 同仁哈，大家都努力发展好自己的产品和技术，这样呢，使得语言不再是障碍。因为跨语言的学习，对吧？这已经是整个国际教育界一直在做的事情了。学生们掌握一定的语言，到另外一个国家要努力的去理解专业的知识，在另外一个语言中去学习。所以说，随着好的工具的支持，我们的所有的更专业的学习可以越来越有效。所以我觉得这块是可以用 AI 很好解决的方案。
好的，非常多谢。好了，
谢谢 Amber。好，谢谢，那大家继续参会，谢谢。
So as Stavros described, we're here because we're committed to a vision and developing our technology and developing our costumes. We're learners comes first, hopefully. So what better way to kick off our morning with our first panel, the panel on teaching our children. I'll hand it over to Alan and Lakeisha. To kick off, just so you know, feel free to find all the information on our speakers on our website, curiosity.ju, and I'll have them also plug our Twitter. Thanks.
Hi, good evening, welcome to the panel, probably the greatest panel we've ever been to. If you're feeling excited, please move a bit closer so we can have a nice conversation. I want to especially thank you for coming out on Saturday morning. This is much earlier than I ever woken up in my life. So let's start with introductions. You want to go?
Sure. Hi, guys. My name is Lakeisha, and I'm also here co-moderating. And just a little bit about me. My for-profit work is concerned with workplace futurism. My company's called Talent Karma. But my reason for being here is because I'm very passionate about STEM education, and I created a program called STEM Saturdays with the goal of democratizing access to STEM for underrepresented middle high school students. So, just definitely interested in finding ways to integrate these two worlds of AI and educators in terms of creating more creative and, explorative people. I really was moved by the keynotes that touched upon that need to have expansion. So, thank you for having me.
Good morning. Thank you for being here on Saturday morning. I know you have many classes to be in person. You made wise decision to be here this morning. My name is Srinivas. I work at Amazon Web Services. I work in the education group at AWS. And this is a global organization that focuses on K-12, higher education, and edtechs that work totally. So my day in and day out, I'm working with founders of edtechs, school teachers, principals, and CIOs. That is super exciting. It's a great future. Thank you very much.
My name is Mike Doty, and I'm with ARC Labs, and also a team member at ARC.io. We're a blockchain that uses a lot less energy and power than other blockchains such as Bitcoin and Ethereum. And one of our specialties is very easy to click and deploy ARC to create your own blockchains for custom solutions and use. We're very active in the education arena. We co-sponsor hackathons around the country and in Europe, and we'll be doing Asia as well. And so a great advantage is that we have on-site developers that provide support to the students, show them how to set up the blockchain, and usually it takes them 20 minutes or so to create their own blockchain and then start working on it with the nice. We have a lot of different languages. Python, especially, the term Python is very, very popular among students. Really, my focus, my goal is that ARC becomes the blockchain of choice for education, science, and academic computing. We are also founding and starting a number of exciting projects with ARC Labs, including immersive VR with robotics, where you'll be able to provide robots on a marketplace and others can use them for remote access and enabled free access. So I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for coming.
So my name is Jessie. I'm a founder and CEO of Create and Learn. What we do is to teach kids creative design, STEM technology. I actually prepare a few slides just in order to set a context of what we've been doing. I think it's highly relevant to what we're doing today as well. After I figure out how to make this slide forward. So, brief introduction of myself, I said already, but the thing I want to highlight is I had an engineering career, and then I was a product management at Google, product manager at Google for about 9 years. And then now I'm in the education field, and a lot of that actually are all connected because I'm doing what I'm doing today based on what I learned from my previous role. So the question I'm going to ask today, I think for this conference in general, is are our kids ready for the AI future? Are your kids ready for the AI future? And I think the answer is most likely no. And there are many, many reasons. There are a couple that we like to address. One is what we call the knowledge gap, right? I mean, you all have a lot of technology background, you know that in the last 20, 30, 100 years, technology has been growing like that. The knowledge, information has all been growing exponentially. But what we teach in school is changing. It's actually changed a lot, but it's mostly a linear change. And now we're seeing a bigger and bigger gap between that. So the question is, how are we going to bridge that gap so that the kids can be ready for the future and sooner? This is actually something I find on Twitter. I stole it and thought it was interesting. It says, if you compare the classroom today versus 100 years ago, what has changed? And it's the color camera. And what it meant is the content has mostly stayed the same. We're teaching the same kind of math and things like that, which is important to learn. But we just changed from paper and pencil to games and maybe VRs and all those things. But the core content is the same. While in the meantime, the knowledge, the information in the real world has been changing very fast. We're far behind. In that regard, unfortunately, the US is actually even more behind. You can see some statistics here recently, like people who are, only about 10% of people who work in the STEM field and still say really doing a good job with our STEM education in general. Comparing, we know that in China these days, education is really, really hot. And what happened is this is a recent announcement where it says that by later this year, AI and data science will actually be part of the required curriculum. And we're certainly behind here in the US. And I think there's a huge amount of work for us to do here. And the other aspect is, we talk about the knowledge gap, the other aspect of it is really the creativity gap. And hopefully a lot of the educators here are familiar with the Bloom's taxonomy, where I talk about creativity is the very top of the goal of the education. But again, and we all know that we have no idea what the kids are going to be, what kind of job they're going to have in 20 years. But we know that creativity and critical thinking, and these type of higher order thinking is going to be super important for them. But unfortunately, the study shows that only about 4% of the classroom work today are for this kind of skills. So again, we have a huge gap there. And to change these gaps require lots of people's work, so I'm hoping that this conference will definitely help us advance that discussion as well. From what we do here at Create and Learn, what we've been doing is to try to put together a set of curriculums that take into account many of these considerations and then deliver it in a way that lots of teachers can deliver it and make it easy for kids to learn. So, okay, so that's my brief introduction.
I'll just go ahead and say, we want this to be an engaging conversation, so I am going to be checking the Twitter feed. So if you have any questions, please tweet the hashtag #DoCuriosity, and we'll address that.
And I just wanted to introduce myself real quick. My name is Alan Shea. I work at Apple, but I'm definitely not representing Apple today. Just to kind of break the ice a little bit, a critical audience question: do you prefer Batman or Wonder Woman? For Wonder Woman? Okay, a fair amount of Wonder Woman's. How about Batman's? Okay, I feel like people didn't vote, but that's fine. Okay, so let's break the ice here also. Robots. I think we're all curious when robots are going to take over the world. When are robots going to take over education?
Probably 10, 20 years. It's true that really a lot of education is pretty redundant. The teacher repeats the same thing over and over again through classes. So why not have a computer and AI fulfill that function? Then the teachers can concentrate on providing support, teaching assistance, working on other areas. Plus the AI is patient, it can interact with the students as they learn, it can scale and increase the difficulty levels, guide the student along. So I'm kind of in the boat where I kind of like teachers. Does anyone feel differently on the panel? Or do you guys all think we're going to be into robots at this point? We all have robots. Yeah, well, guys see with AI we can leverage it to create abundance, and abundance will be a lifetime of learning. Basically, we're about to a world where essentially everyone has his own personal robot that does all his work for him. And so he's like, everyone's like, they're born with rich parents and live a lifetime of learning. And that, so that's, but I think the end result will be a very optimistic outlook.
Well, since this is a small audience and it's icebreaker, I just want to say that I'm hoping never. Not so much because the technology will be at a stage where they can help learning, how kids is learning a lot, but just personally, I felt like it's so important that the kids are getting from the social and emotional support and various things and from the teacher that can just not be replaced. Because I think that just like we love our kids as parents, and if you, I'm sure many of you have kids, and if you have a good teacher, they love their kids, and then I would say that my kids love their teachers. The relationship is much more about fact and knowledge learning and more about being a human bond relationship. But that said, and obviously, hopefully AI and a lot of other things will help with learning a much better experience for kids as well.
So the picture that Jesse showed in the presentation, the next picture would be a Robo standing there, and he's nice work. I agree with Jesse. I don't know if there will be a time when robots will take over the platform and replace users. I think the management and teachers and students is very important. But there will be a lot of value in simply to connect at a personal level with students, with the data that they have, and with what AI can do, surfacing the data.
Cool. So I wanted to go back to what Mike said about robots taking over our education in 20 years. Let's say robots do take over education in 20 years. If I can get everything from just Googling or having a robot tell me what I need to know, why do I need to learn at all? Why do I need to have skills at all?
I'd say one thing, I don't really envision a robot standing in a room full of kids. Actually, the students will be wherever they choose to be, at home, maybe out on the beach, at a playground learning. We'll be getting away from centralized education. We won't be sending children off to this building where they're with hundreds, thousands of other students. It's all about the research. So, as we go into the future, the teacher will still be around, but it'll be no longer a teacher. It'll be more like a guide, someone who will help nurture the children as they're growing and watch over them. But the education will be really provided by the AI, the interactive media, VR headsets, whatever media they choose.
Yeah. I wanted to ask a question to Jesse, and I wanted to see what your thoughts were about the most exciting opportunities that AI has in the realm of education.
And I think partially I feel like I'm looking at a crystal ball here because it's such a broad area. And I'm saying that there might be 2 or 3 areas I think potentially could be very interesting. One is general spaces. We go to a classroom, we see what our teacher assistants are doing. Not the teacher themselves, a teacher assistant. They are helping with a lot of the things that take the teacher's time, but not necessarily directly are the most impactful for teaching. Some of the grading aspect of it, some of the logistic aspect of it. I think a lot of those, if they think about almost like Alexa in the classroom type of thing, then maybe robot and bring that place would be very, very interesting. I think that's one area. The other area that people have talked a lot about is these personalized learning and adaptive learning type of thing. That's not going to have a session on that later today. For that, I'm not in that area, but I have a mixed feeling about it because it's just much more complicated than it looks like. Because I think for anyone who wants to adaptive learning, I would say that a child is a person to say, you go teach your kids or group of kids for 2 years and try to not just tutor them in the sense of, they already learn something in school, but actually try to advance them on your own, and you realize that there's so much things involved in learning that it's actually very difficult to make it personalized. It takes a lot of things. I would say that's another area. And the third area is probably a lot of the things that are very similar to what we see in other areas like commerce and all that, recommendations, and what kind of things I can recommend to kids, whether it's sports or exercises or games or things like that. Really interesting area as well. And then I think earlier on, one of the keynote speakers mentioned the idea of having your personal teacher with you the whole time. I thought that's a very interesting idea. Like someone who can record what you have done so far and then make some recommendations on what you can do in the future. That's not something that the education system or anyone provide. I think the best person to provide that so far may be the parents. But I actually feel like that's a really intriguing area to think more about as well.
Cool. So, AI, AR, VR, blockchain, these are all fancy words that keep hearing these days, and EdTech is kind of the cool thing right now, right? So you go into a classroom, see like the Chromebooks, see some iPads, but when I try to use an AI, like at home when I have my Alexa, I tell it to turn off the lights and it turns on the fan. Or I've tried like every single dating app and no AI has ever found me a relationship. So I feel like some of these terms might be overhyped, and I'm worried that students will take advantage of that, right? Because technology is expensive. Do you think that AI and tech are being overhyped in schools, or does it feel like options everyone? So we talk about false positives.
The way AI is today is going through cycles of learning. So there are more false positives now and false negatives. And I think that model will mature. There is a lot of hype because there's a lot of text working on that problem and solve that. But going back to the earlier question, profitality is one area that we see a lot of text focus AI on, and topic recommendation, and more of bringing out that information to the user line. I was working with a school district which wanted to create a map on students. To know what's this thing, what's the weakness, and this is a map that we have shared with kids. And so they could find out, the kids really good at math, but within math is persistence and interaction, or using engagement. So I think those are the initial areas that I see AI adoption increasing in schools. But your dating experience might be better than 3 4 years ago.
I just got a really good question. And it's how do we ensure AI is accessible to all and doesn't entrench inequality in education? To see if any of you guys have any thoughts.
I saw Buck Rogers in the 25th century in the 80s, and that showed the AI was this big thing the size of a hubcap, and everyone had one they carried around with them. But now I have the same thing. It's in this little package here. It only cost me $19, $40 a month for the service, and it has AI in it already with the Google Voice and Alexa. Similar deals with the iPhone and Apple. So that makes the AI very accessible. It's like very few people can afford $19 or anywhere for $50 for a better model, plus $40 a month for access.
That question brings up one of the examples. A big customer that I work with closely is Code.org. A lot of teachers present Code.org. They have this platform where school students can learn how to program, and they run on Amazon Web Services. So they have this one week a year where every student in the world logs onto the platform to learn how to code. And they have over 100 million students learning how to code for that 1 week. Now, how can Code.org scale up to that level for just 1 week and scale back and make it free for every kid in the world? So that they're running on Amazon Web Services. That gives them the ability to just pay for the few hours that they want to use, so that keeps their costs down. And that way you can pass on that to every single student, every single school, that I make more affordable for the students. So I think that's the model where it's democratizing access to the content by spreading out the cost and making the cost as minimal as possible. That's one of our key goals. Keep the cost down for our customers, and customers can pass on those savings to their customers.
I think the AI accessibility thing has two aspects. One is, the other thing was mentioned as well, is once the AI technologies are in place, who can have access to those technologies and apps or services that is supporting. I think that probably, based on a lot of product that Mike was also mentioned, that is probably okay. And most likely, but there's the other aspect of accessibility, including about the opportunities to learn about AI technology or becoming someone who work in the AI field. I think in that one we have a huge challenge, like in many of the other education fields as well. There will be many solutions, and just an example of what we do is we really take social responsibilities very, very seriously. We proactively, even though we are started as a for-profit company, we proactively reach out to local organizations who serve underprivileged kids and all that, and teach and train the teachers for free, and we help them to teach their kids for free of the curriculums we have. And I think that's really everyone's responsibility to help make that change, so that we can bring some people behind in terms of giving them the opportunity to make contributions to the AI field.
So it's really you mentioned the marketizing education, and Paul actually talked about the marketizing education. I think access to computers is obviously very important, but right now 1 in 10 kids in the Philippines have access to a computer. A lot of kids are displaced, they're refugees, they don't have access to computers. How can we get them to be able to experience these things that you guys are building if they can't get there from?
As mentioned earlier, the hardware just keeps getting cheaper and cheaper. The limiting factor now really is the bandwidth and coverage of broadband internet. And that, to me, is going to be the most critical limiting factor, is continuing to expand the high-speed connectivity everywhere on the globe. My preferred model of that is with blockchain, government-enabled mesh networking, decentralized networks, so that basically nobody owns or controls the network, where it's actually owned and controlled by the users, not by any corporate entities. And that is ubiquitous, that it's available everywhere. And people that run the nodes are incentivized to do so, and it's very low cost. And basically you're eliminating gatekeepers. Everyone has this ubiquitous high-speed access wherever they are.
Thinking about that, it's not a problem. It's a real problem that can't be solved by just one entity. It's a collaboration with you create a safe environment, like situations that you described. Safety isn't the primary concern, then we wouldn't be thinking about working with AI or increasing the knowledge. So I think it's a lot of pieces need to be like governments need to help creating a safe environment. Organizations like AWS and putting the access to the launch mile to very close to the students and teachers so that it's easy for them to access. The barrier to access is something. So there are a number of players as a part of the solution that we work together.
I think in addition to some of the hardware aspect of it, there's also the environmental aspect, the encouragement aspect of it. I think people here might have seen a statistic that online learning has been around for a long time, but the actual benefit that it brought to people, it turns out it brings more benefit to people who are already in a good environment and actually less benefit to people who are underrepresented. And it's not so much because of the technology differences, but because of the environment. And I think it's like whether they're being encouraged to do it or not, or they have supportive things around them. I personally have met people who come from other parts of the world saying that, oh, I'm working remotely because I took MIT online classes and become an engineer, and that's where I am. But I also have met people from other parts of the world saying that I wish I had learned the things online and I didn't because my environment was not giving me that support or encouragement. So I think that in addition to hardware, maybe a lot of things can be done on the sort of the soft aspect of things of encouraging and recognizing these things really can change people if you use resources right out there.
Teacher, I know you also do a lot of work in democratizing STEM. Do you have any opinions about how to help?
I think there it was touched on, in my opinion, I think it is a relationship building thing that needs to happen on a local level. It's not just about the technology, though I think there are certain ways that can be expanded as well. But my thing is, I'm not as a STEM person, I'm a STEM advocate. I have 2 boys. I think about how you build relationships to better understand the needs, and to the extent that AI can assist in that in terms of directing, finding deficiencies and helping move the students along. I think that's what will really make a difference.
I also see, though, policy change. A lot of the problem is an artificial scarcity that's created by regulations and obstacles that are meant to protect incumbent players in the field, like local telephone monopolies, companies that are currently offering the services. Also, wireless is hamstrung to protect these centralized broadcasters. That we could have a lot more mesh networking and bandwidth already if we basically unlicensed most of the spectrum and just let node operators operate across the full band of frequencies. That if you look at how Wi-Fi, an unlicensed spectrum is developed in Bluetooth, and the incredible amount of innovation we've had in those portions of the spectrum compared to other areas like the broadcasting and television, radio, and cell phones. That's why I see a lot of where we can expand access now. And it doesn't cost money, it's just a matter of eliminating obstacles.
One point of that is as part of my work, I interact with a lot of ethics standards. The ethics standards have a big role to play. So standards what Jesse has started. These are the companies that can identify the problems that big organizations being able to spend their time and resources. I see startups are able to move a bit more nimble, move fast, and able to identify and solve the specific problems that users have. I think that takes into part of solutions.
One question, actually piggybacking on that, in terms of edtechs getting involved in public education, what do you think about the teachers being brand ambassadors for the edtechs? Do you have any opinion about, private companies and edtechs coming in and how much influence that they have?
The question was how much influence will private companies?
Now, what do you think about it in general? I mean, I don't want to lead you into any kind of positive or negative, but what are your thoughts about that? Because I think it is something to consider that you have these companies that are coming in and they're influencing the teachers, and the teachers could be considered brand ambassadors in a way to the edtech companies, right? So do you have a thought on that? Is that something that is a challenge or an advantage?
I think the fundamental question is really, is the thing that edtech company, whoever tries to bring to school or students, valuable or not? If it is something valuable, I think that I don't see anything wrong with teachers being an ambassador. In fact, it's good that you spread these things around. But if it's more, if the product itself is not good, then obviously there are other issues there. I really think that it depends on what kind of things and whether it's really good product or not.
I think what we see the evolution of edtechs are helping teachers. Teachers have probably more choices now in what curriculum to choose than maybe 20, 30 years ago when there were 4 publishers publishing articles. So there's definitely, the way I see it when I work with edtechs is that they are at the point of solving the problem of giving teachers more choices. And second thing is, a lot of the edtechs create the platform for the teacher, not specifically prescribing making but creating a platform for the teacher who wants to work with it. I think that's the
So, of course, there's a lot of big companies getting into the education game, such as particularly Microsoft, and there's a lot of tech startups. But a lot of times, a lot of these particularly big companies, they release products that might not necessarily actually help, I think. For example, I know Dell released a Chromebook where one of the title headline features was that instead of using press a button, and it would be like a fake language. I'm not sure how useful that is, unless there might be accessibility uses for it, but I'm not sure how much a laptop can actually help students in the classroom. Do you think there's a disconnect between the engineers building these things and what teachers actually want?
So I can give you my personal experience. When I joined Amazon into this education group, my assumption was that we're going to work for engineers. I landed the people that I interact on a day-to-day basis with the teachers in the past life, the principals and schools and CIOs who are joining this education group. So the inputs that we're getting is not from other engineers, from like people that use factory and but from teachers who have gone through that process for many, many years. So I think that's how the education group in Amazon's model of not just hiring engineers to build products and disconnect from the students, but bring in people who have gone through that in their past lives and educate us on what is the big problem that we want to solve.
Well, it's interesting because it's not really just the teachers that are brand ambassadors, but the very hardware itself. For instance, Apple had a very successful program on placing their equipment in the schools, and it's a great strategy because as the students use the equipment, they're familiar with it. That's what they're going to want to tend to use as they pursue their careers. For me, that's like a business interest to follow and use that same approach. Is that by encouraging and stimulating and supporting education, then those students are going to be tomorrow's developers, scientists that you want them to continue to use your product. So it's not just the teachers being the brand ambassadors, but actually the platforms and hardware itself. So I think actually the teacher can help balance things by presenting other alternatives instead of just whatever the school happens to bring in from a given corporate sponsor.
Would you say companies are like actively doing land grabs at schools? For example, there's like a war between Chromebooks and iPads today. If people really buy into their Chromebooks and will continue to use Chromebooks and
Yeah, I would say, see just by the naming of the sports venues, like I was just at the University of Maryland for the big camp hackathon, and the arena at a public university was named Xfinity Sports Center, Xfinity Arena. So, yeah, there is kind of a land grab, I'd say, to try to kind of capitalize on a given venue at a school and help one's own brand at the exclusion of others.
So, Jesse, I'm curious about how you try to connect with teachers to really figure out how to solve the actual problems in the ground.
We actually get a lot of help from teachers, and we have teachers being invited to this conference today, actually. So I think it's a very much collaborative process because what we bring in, personally or our team in general are our understanding of technologies, our understanding of what are the things that are useful for the real world. And I think what the teachers bring in are a lot of best practices and their understanding of education. I don't think that we can do a successful product only with just one side of it. I actually feel like that close collaboration is one of the reasons why we can produce a product that, I would say that first is very proud and something that the teachers and students have used a lot. I think that's a very, very crucial relationship and probably every single edtech company should be a strong relationship like that if you want to have successful products.
I have a question from Twitter, guys. With AI in the classroom, can we have empathy at scale?
Yeah, empathy, I would not expect that to be a function of AI, but I kind of see you'll have more local clusters of learning, more informal gatherings, more the Socratic method, where your instructor, your guide, your teaching assistant provides the empathy. And the AI is really just a tool to access data and interactively go through exercises. But the empathy is going to come from within the group. It's kind of almost like a return to the one-room schoolhouse, which was very local. And instead of these larger, kind of more impersonal, centralized schools that we have now.
Yeah, this ties back to the first question, whether robots will replace teachers eventually in classrooms. So I think empathy and emotional connection. So the biggest value add or biggest factor the teacher brings into the class is the emotional connection and the empathy with the students. So, like Mike said, AI will be a tool that the teacher can use to better focus and better use his time, and the empathy and the emotional connection will come from the teacher with the students.
That's a very interesting question, so I don't have an answer for it, but I'll add to that question actually. Something we've been thinking about as well. So I went to a Stanford education school actually had a series of talks last year on AI in education. Two of them, one of them is about chatbot. So there they talk a lot about how we want to build personalities into chatbots or something that people would love to interact with. And then the other session is about robot and human. And there, you guys probably have seen Pepper and all that. They talk a lot about how do you build a robot so that people would love to interact with robot. So both of these actually trigger a question is, what kind of feeling we're trying to trigger users to have with these chatbots? If you see what I'm saying, we only applied empathy to human before, but now that we have a chatbot, we're going to naturally consider that as something, how do we interact with them? Same thing with robot. So I actually had some conversation with various people at Stanford afterwards, and even among them I heard different opinions. Some people might say that, don't worry about empathy. We should try to make sure that kids understand these are machines, and then actually just tell them the fact and don't worry about how they emotionally react to it. And I actually don't think that it can be done that way because people who build these tools are trying to trigger our emotional reactions. And then there are also other people who said that, we need to respect robots just like we're humans, like they're as if they're humans. I don't think anyone really knows, but I do think that having AI in all sorts of different forms introduce very interesting technical questions about empathy, and then how we deal with human empathy, how we deal with differences between machines and humans, and thinking that we will all trigger very similar emotional reactions from us.
So Microsoft recently released a chatbot on Twitter, and the chatbot quickly degraded into tweeting Nazi propaganda, and they had to pull it off after a day was pretty bad. I'm worried that AI can carry the bias of the person who created it. A lot of times Google is criticized for promoting a political agenda or something like that. How do we make sure that AI can provide kids with a balanced education?
Well, one thing I see is that the central schools will evolve to become community production centers and incubators, that they will become like maker spaces where people of all ages can go and learn, build things in a supportive environment. And that will evolve along with AI as a tool. We'll have CNC fabrication equipment, a lot of different kinds of things. That's kind of where I see things headed.
I was going to say, I think it's very difficult. It's probably going to be a iterative process, and we probably may not realize these biases after the system is built. And we actually have seen that in computer vision system already, where people trained it as millions of images, but it ended up recognizing certain people or certain type of things better than the others. So, I mean, the important things, in my opinion, is to keep that in mind and constantly watch out and fix the system is not being balanced.
I think one way to look at that is being conscious of that problem, that the problem can exist, and being more creative in terms of trying to solve the problem. I think the most subtle, at the subtle level, is AI going to introduce more unconscious bias, the way it's thinking. So those are the certain things that we need to be aware of. And then we have a larger community that looks at the problem. I think ethics is a large community that can balance out that problem. If there was like two organizations building all the AI algorithms, you might run into that challenge, but if you have a million ethics, sometime to solve the problem, I think that the system will take care of something.
Yeah, I guess what I was getting at earlier too is that a way to avoid that problem is to encourage them not to have their face buried in a screen all the time to begin with. That students are really interacting and doing things, making things, building things. So I think the AI is only more of a data collection and research tool, but it's not something that you're really engaging with or immersed in, as a companion. They always try to encourage its use as a tool, but not as something that you're interconnecting with, becoming a hive mind like a neuron in a global brain. So that's what I see as a challenge too. Because you see people walking around staring at these phones all the time. And yeah, hopefully we can do things that counter that.
So on behalf of Apple, unofficially, I'm sorry for people staring at their phones. I think, let's say that AI does make even a bigger step into classrooms. Do you think that we need to change our curriculums so that students know how to figure out if something's fake news or if something's a fake tweet? Or kids these days don't learn cursive anymore because no one learns in cursive anymore. How do you think we should adapt our curriculums for the study?
I guess so that pyramid, the rainbow pyramid in that presentation, that at the apex was creativity, and right below it, the ability to analyze. Being able to teach critical thinking is a critical skill that people need to learn. And that's what you need to filter fake news. Teach the scientific method, ask questions, and don't assume anything is true just because it comes from an authority or what's considered an expert. Yeah, think for yourself.
Yeah, I have a 13-year-old son. His cursive is miserable. I can't read it, but he said, hey, this is cursive, this is how you write. So, yeah, I think what I see is, I went through schooling and I see my son go through pretty much the same format, where it's a uniform curriculum across the class for every single student. What AI can enable is being more personalized in terms of what are the strengths and weaknesses of man, and focus more on that. I think that's the biggest value that I see when I see ethics trying to solve a problem. This is one problem that I see a broad set of ethics trying to bubble up that information to the teachers and the parents to see what is the kid's strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, the whole curriculum thing is what we do. So, and as I mentioned earlier, I think a lot of this is about fundamentally bridging the knowledge gap and higher the gaps in creativities and all that. In terms of knowledge, actually, I really think a lot of the real-world high-tech stuff that we are learning can actually be taught to kids much, much younger. in a way that are age appropriate and helps them understand the technology principles, helps them become much more sophisticated about the technologies around them, including AI and other things, and helps them to be prepared for whatever career path they want to take in the future. Teaching them AI at a very early age does not mean that they're going to be an AI researcher in the future. It just means that they will be able to work much more effectively with AI or with people who are expert of AI much more effectively. And I believe it can be done. We're very confident about that.
I wanted to, we're kind of touching upon this issue, but I wanted to just direct it, since we started about what's the exciting prospects of AI, what are the perils that you identify with AI, and how can we mitigate the dangers and perils? And we talk about bias potential, and I think there's some other perils that I think we can identify and talk about.
Yeah, we spoke about advantages of AI for the most part of this panel. I think one of the dangers is what we hear now more about data privacy and data security. That is a challenge that all of us have to solve. And I can talk about some of the edtechs that are on the Amazon platform and how they solve the problem. It should be very easy for the startup, the companies to solve the problem. It shouldn't be a difficult for them to solve the data privacy problem, in which case it slows down their ability to cycle through new versions. It inhibits them from being more innovative. So, for example, if startups are running on Amazon, they say they have to be further compliance for student data, and what if they could just take a checkbox to say all my data needs to be making it that simple and easy is one way to solve the problem. But privacy and data security is something that's going to be in the limelight for a very long time, given the amount of data that we generate.
In the blockchain industry, we have a very simple solution to securing your personal data and preserving your privacy. You don't collect it. If you don't collect it, it can be breached or hacked, and most of the time there's no need to collect it. And your address on a blockchain, that is your ID. And for the particular purpose of that network, that's all you need. So that's how I approach the problem.
I certainly agree with you and Mike on the privacy aspect of it. Another thing I would add is, again, this is something we have thought about. We don't have a solution or even know whether the problem is real or not, is whether we can break part of the learning chain without breaking the whole system. To be more specific, what I meant is, if there are, for instance, people try to say, we're going to use AI to grade homework. But from a teacher's perspective, especially for younger kids, the teacher look at the homework that kids have is actually have their own process of figuring out what I'm going to teach the kids next. And now that we have an AI replacing part of that chain, what does that mean for the teacher? And now that we're listening to consumer, what does that mean for the whole process? I don't think we really know, and we don't know either, but this is something that we've been wondering about how or in what way that AI can be gradually introduced into the education process without breaking it. And then we also have time to wait for it to be mature. One day it's going to solve all the problems, but in between, how we can take advantage of it without making harms.
So we have 5 minutes left, and I want to turn it back to being super positive. What do you guys look forward to with AI in classrooms in the next 10 years? What are you most excited about?
For me, my day-to-day job is to work with edtechs. So that's the most exciting part of my job, and I see that how the ethics that influencing the classroom, influencing how governing of the information to the teachers. So for me, that's the most exciting. I think that will have a big impact on how education is delivered.
I've had a great taste of it already with online learning. Complexity Explorer from the Santa Fe Institute is a great way to learn the basics of complexity science. Of course, there's Coursera and others. So already being able to study at your own pace, to answer the quizzes and learn as you're going at your own pace. But AI can take it to the next level, where the courses and exercises and quizzes themselves can be dynamically adjusted to match the student's particular skill level and ability to learn and adapt and create. So I think that's a very exciting future for AI.
Yeah, I would again break this into two areas. One is what we learn, and second is how we learn. In terms of what we learn, I definitely hope that the kids will start to learn AI and various technologies a lot earlier, and I believe they could, and they should. In terms of how they learn, I think as the other panelists were saying, is I'm hoping that AI can help kids to learn much more effectively in a more sort of fun and interesting way.
I'm just excited about the potential to democratize access, and the idea of STEM education being something that revolutionizes the world and makes more humans, more opportunity.
So, final question for our panel. Wonder Woman or Batman? Wonder Woman. No opinion. Wonder Woman or Batman?
Wonder Woman.
It's a tricky question. I like the Batman movie better. Let me put it this way. I wasn't a big fan of the recent Wonder Woman movie, actually. So a couple of them are better.
It's good to meet you. Okay, so I know you guys are all representing really cool things. So do you want to give a final pitch about how people can reach you or find you on Twitter or all that fancy stuff?
Sure. My organization is STEM Saturday. You can find it at www.stemsaturday.com. I'm on Twitter, #Lakeisha Pool, and I'll be around if you're interested in STEM education. Just reach out to me.
I'm on LinkedIn. We also have a workshop next. We talk about how AI on AWS can be used. So feel free to come to the workshop. We'll have some cool demos and talk about what we're doing at AWS.
And my email is mike@arc.io, and that's ARK.io. And that's our website as well. We have a Slack and a Reddit, very active Reddit. And that's Arc Ecosystem. .slack is the URL for the Slack. And then under Reddit, we're the Arc Ecosystem subreddit.
My name is Jessie Jiang. You can search me on Google. If you can't find this Jessie Jiang, you can search for Jessie Jiang Google or Jessie Jiang Create and Learn. I should be the one somehow.
Alright, so we'll wrap it up. Thanks for coming.
Anyway, we can follow what you're doing.
I have a very sarcastic Twitter at chinookpanda.com where I make fun of myself. You can also find me on LinkedIn. I apply technically on Apple, but if you have questions about Apple in general, tech in general, please reach out.
Thank you so much. 2 ways to continue engaging with the topic. As we mentioned, AWS is hosting a workshop we're slightly behind, so that will begin in the pool room at 11:30. And secondly, our speakers are invited to be in the discussion lounge in the pool alcove, where they'll be continuing group discussions. The next session will begin at 11:30, and that'll be investing in new ideas here. Thanks, everyone.
他们现在呢接下来会去转去另一个分会场来继续探讨我们的这个关于教育和 AI 的一些问题。那之前呢，其实前面几位的这个演讲者，他们在探讨的就是关于在 AI 和人类教育当中是不是有什么冲突啊、什么利弊啊，在讨论这些话题。那我个人认为呢，就是无论这个时代是怎么变，比如说是 AI 的时代即将来临也好呢，还是说甚至是一个神学时代，不管是什么时代，我觉得一个基础教育的这个基础呢，就一定是家庭教育。那家庭教育就是靠我们每一个人自我认知再承传给下一代。那么，如果我们人类只要有了一个良好的家庭的基础教育，我相信无论是什么时代，都可以非常好的去适应它的。那我们就看一下，我们关注一下下面我们的分会场会有什么内容，继续跟大家一起分享和探讨。
好像是翻译。 看。12.45。
他们还是在这里。
对。吃个是不成，但是那个下一场要到12.45，要吃过15块，15。下面吃过午餐是吧？
没有，现在没有再继续吗？
现在是我们。
现在又是这个是吧？好的。那么现在马上还有10分钟左右呢，我们接下来的这个环节是探讨这些邀请一些投资人来探讨，在 AI 时代我们有一些什么样的新的机会，哪一些领域可能会带给大家更多的这个就业的机会。我们敬请关注，还有大概10分钟吧，11点半的时候就开始。好。
随便调试，我本还是用电脑。
这个字幕是不是？哇，这个字幕超大的，就已经完全遮的剩2个头在上面。反正是中场嘛，我们建场，我们就一起聊一下，就是说看我们这位这个彩云小艺的 CEO 对我们今天的主题有什么看法？
稍等，我调一下。
对，他正在调试。对，我们说中文完全就不需要翻译了。但是有没有外国人士在看？对，你对今天咱们的主题有什么看法？
对，人工智能与教育，就是刚才听了一下，大家可能觉得大公司在做相关的工作，比如说在大学里面引入不同的课程，然后将来他们就可能会使用大公司的相应软件，然后我是因为自己做过长时间的那个中小学的这个计算机编程教育，我觉得这个东西不是洪水猛兽，在这个新的时代，我们希望能够让小学生也能，或者中学生或者小学生，他也能够非常方便的能够接触到人工智能的概念。就是我们不仅是可能有2个方面吧，一个是利用人工智能技术去促进现在的教育，比如说我们的老师会改试卷比较复杂，需要但是现在有那个判卷机。非常简单，但是这个判卷机并不是很好用，可以把它做得更好用。 因为
它这能是怎么去识别它的答案？
对，识别它的答案。就是对，但是有很多答案识别的不是很好。我老婆就是在小学教师嘛，她就经常拿回家有很多卷子，在抱怨这件事，所以其实可以做得更好。然后同时还有一个方面是给学生教授这个人工智能方面的知识。然后这也是很重要的，因为现在在手机上面就给一些微博各种编程的软件辅助的，比如说像 Scratch 啊，或者是优必选的各种课程，包括你们泰拉德的这些东西，对，就是使得小朋友在很小的时候就能够接触到这个时代是什么样的。我非常的反对那种自然教育，也就是说小朋友不要碰电脑，不要碰 iPad。我觉得这
个就跟时代已经脱节了。
对，就是说，虽然说我们现在可能书本是比较好的沟通方式，但是其实对你也要跟上时代，就是现在有 VR 啊，有各种各样的东西，有更好的这个教育，就是有更好的环境，要让学生去适应这个环境。所以我认为人工智能教育一早不宜迟。
没有，所谓我记得咱们有个话叫知己知彼，百战百胜啊。我们一定是把这个技术学透了，才能为我们所用，而不是说被动的因为大环境已经改变了 ，AI 已经是方方面面进入我们的生活，所以我们一定是很好的让我们下一代去掌握这些技能，我们才能成为一个操控者，就是所谓我们今天的主题是以人为本。如果我们根本就不了解它，我们无法掌握机器人这门语言的话，那你怎么去操控它，怎么去使用它？那你只能成为一个被利用者。所以呢，我也是非常支持说，在这个时代，不需要把这些电子设备全部的屏蔽，因为你要知道，你的历史行进的路程已经走到现在，那么必然要跟上它的步伐，并且让他们为我们所用，永远不会失控。如果我们真正做到以人为本，对，非常谢谢你。好了，那我们一会儿的话题就继续看投资者的话题吧。
Conference personnel, conference volunteers, just want to remind that we can start to bring back our attendees for the discussion launch. So the AWS workshop is starting in the workshop room, and also our session on investing in new ideas is starting in 3 minutes in this room as well. So let's get our attendees back. conference staff, conference personnel, please help bring back attendees to our session. Thank you. And for our attendees here, if you can find a seat, our new panel about investing in new ideas is starting very soon. Yes.
Hello? Hello?
Hello? Mine's on.
Mine's on.
Hello? All right. Okay. I will tell the robots stop talking. Welcome back to this very, very important and exciting panel about new business models, investing in new ideas and new innovations. So obviously today you've heard lots of great ideas about the trend, challenges, and opportunities. And being here in Silicon Valley, we know the VCs, the entrepreneurs, the users, the PMs, together we are this, the ecosystem together that produce continuous innovations together. So this panel, we had several very interesting and then leading investors from the Valley. And I will introduce to you about our panelists first, and then we'll open up to questions. So on my very left is Stephen Stanky. I'm sorry, Mr. Stanky. Stephen is the curriculum developer from NVIDIA's Deep Learning Institute. Actually, many of you who have the NVIDIA workshop registration, you're going to attend the session afterwards with him. But he also worked on the healthcare applications as part of the NVIDIA innovation ecosystem as well. And then he will introduce himself more and train and work at Caltech and also University of Arizona over here about the cases that he's worked on. And then on Stephen's left, we have Manish Sinha. my Columbia lab, and who is the new president for CVC, the Columbia Venture Community, and the very first real technologist at the White House. After the White House, during the Obama administration and after the White House time, he moved to Silicon Valley and then not only working with startups on technology side, but also helping students in their STEM learning as well, specifically coding and also robotics. And then, of course, you're going to introduce more about that. And then we have Nathaniel Krasnov. Pardon me if the pronunciation is not right. So he's an investor from Wildcat Venture Partners, an early stage Bay Area based VC. I know Nathaniel himself, not only being an investor, but he actually was trained in mechanical engineering and also being a maker. He built water robots because himself was an athlete from the water sports before. So very interesting experiences, definitely are good background and base to make solid investment decisions. And then very end, but not least at all, we have Dr. Helen Liang, managing partner of Founders X Ventures right here from San Diego. Founders X has been very active and leading very noticeable deals in the AI space, and also some are ad tech companies as well, and we'll hear more on that as well. So, so we will just open with the first question, where we can hear more about their background, but also their insights already. So, so first, we'll just do this way. Starting from Stephen, so I want you, our panelists each, can introduce a little bit, especially highlight from your professional background. So what's the relevance to AI and education? Either the technology you're working on, the cases you work with, or some interesting cases that you're tracking already. And then why do you think they're interesting? So that would be my first question. Is that crazy?
So my professional background before getting into the machine learning and AI space, I was a physicist and I did research and teaching. So I'm quite used to getting students to engage with, academically esoteric topics. And I think AI kind of shares that sort of mysterious quality that a lot of people associate with physics. More recently, I've been working with NVIDIA to develop deep learning specific courses for healthcare. So in that case, there's a lot of the new deep learning techniques being applied to medical imaging and genomics, because these are two cases where we have huge amounts of data, which is perfect for kind of a big data machine learning approach. So that's my current area of interest.
Hi everybody, my name is Manish. I'll reach into the experience that touches on this conference. I'm a full stack engineer. I live and breathe code every day. And part of my journey as being an engineer is giving back into the world. And the challenge that I found that really resonated with me is teaching kids how to code. So for the past 4 years, I've been a volunteer for a nonprofit called Script Ed. They're based out of New York City. They just expanded out here. And their whole model is they place engineers, developers, designers in classrooms that are underserved. And twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week, a team of about 3 to 4 engineers goes to such a classroom and teaches kids how to code. Right now, I am in the Immaculate Conception Academy, which is in the Mission neighborhood in San Francisco, where me, the Dropbox engineer, Pinterest engineer, teaches about 10 girls how to code. And we do that twice a week, and then we have an annual hackathon. And the entire goal of all of this is to get them a career, to one, make them aware that technology is a career, and 2, to get them into that pipeline. So that's my passion, and that's what I love to hear and talk about, and I hope I can share some of those stories with you today.
Hi everybody, my name is Nathaniel Krasnov. I'm a recovering mechanical engineer. When I got into investing, I was came with the mindset of trying to find all the companies that were automating all the jobs. Progress reasons, in this place, a lot of people doing menial tasks, so maybe you can have a potential very large reward. However, after spending a lot of time with that, spending a lot of time with the World Economic Forum, the global shaper for them, the epiphany was pretty obvious that that's not the direction you should really be focusing your energies on. It should be on how you actually retrain the people that are going to get automated by those jobs, which is about $2.5 trillion in wages in the US, based on estimates by 2030. So there's more opportunities to help the Uber drivers work at Uber than there is to build the autonomous cars, or at least similar amount of opportunities to help the people. So that's what I'm going to do.
Hi, my name is Helen Liang. I'm the managing partner of Founders X Ventures. We are a new firm right on the Sandy Road. Our firm has a heavy focus on the AI and big data value chain, that including robotics and including ad tech. We have invested about over 20 companies. A little bit about myself, I come from a technology background. I used to be a field product manager in high-tech industry for many years. The interest in getting into AI started probably around 3 years ago. When the firm just formed, we started to see the AI startups popping up, and maybe when three things come together, as we know. One is, of course, supercomputing power, with the GPU and GPU, a big contribution from NVIDIA. Then we also have a huge amount of data come from the mobile days. Then we have the deep learning algorithm. When these three things come together, we see really pop up on the AI startups. That where we see also huge opportunities for next wave of billion-dollar business. So that's where we choose our focus. And today, this conference, I think the topic is curiosity, where we see AI to play in space. One is, of course, that can force educators to focus more on education for curiosity, to promote curiosity, for creative skills. The other way, we also see AI come into play in this space. Today, we look at AI companies actually can create movie clips, can probably pretty soon write scripts. So you can also see, of course, that AI can make advertisement. So that I think the curiosity has a lot to do with AI, how AI will change in terms of both education and also how our society will shape in the future.
Okay. So thanks to our panelists who just introduced and also highlighted how their work is related to AI and education and curiosity. So we'll go to the questions we have on the list. The first one is, so obviously we have technologists, former physicists turned technologists, and then more of a really passion-driven, social impact-driven educator, engineer, and then we have investors here. So a diverse panel by its own nature. So from your very own perspective, what do you see as the biggest trend that's coming in 5 years? Only focus on within 5 years. We're not looking farther. Yeah. What do you think is coming for AI education in 5 years?
So from my perspective, I focus on educating people that are already out developing software and industrial applications. So a little bit beyond elementary level. In that space, there's going to be a lot of AI used to be kind of a very technical field where you have to dive deep into graduate level curriculum to really understand the mechanics, the mathematics. And I think we're going to see a lot more sort of out-of-the-box kind of models where, because now the space has expanded so much, these tools have been deployed so much, there's a lot of pre-existing techniques, there's a lot of pre-existing networks and deep learning that have already been crafted to solve problems. And so what we're going to see is a lot of transfer of expertise where the solution to a problem in one field is kind of ported over to a new domain and then modified and tweaked a little bit, and then it solves the problem really well in another domain.
So rather than getting really deep into the nitty-gritty, I think we're going to see a lot of sort of, oh, hey, you can take this solution and transfer it. So I think that's going to be the new sort of a horizontal application of learning rather than deep vertical dive.
So many technologies are becoming available that make the entire process faster. I know Dr. Liang, you probably want to comment back on this, or
Sure.
you agree with this trend?
Of course. As an investor, I spend probably every day, at least 3 hours, just to track what's new and what new algorithm, new application come from the frontier labs, frontier AI startups. So everything was happening on the AI field. But one thing I would add to the AI education is, as you can see, so many things are happening. So in the algorithm development day, there is a concern on the bias. Today, we probably know the majority of the algorithms are developed by the hooded white guys. So there's a concern we need more girls in the coding world. We need more balance in terms of how do we represent the real world in the algorithm world. So that, I think, will be a challenge for the next 5 years in the AI development, especially in education, AI education. I hope to see more initiative in that space. Actually, there's one at Stanford, I think by Dr. Fei since AI for All, and also I think it's called the SETI program at Stanford, trying to recruit high school girls going to the deep learning program. And so I think that's one area we have interest.
It's actually a little bit surprising to hear. I'm very active early stage investor that you also actively pay attention to the non-profit nature projects.
Yes, it does affect. Think about all the products, the decision making. Of course, female makes half of the user base, right? When you have the majority of product are developed by coding guys, and probably in terms from user experience point of view, we need to pay more attention to what are the half of the user base really expect the product to be.
It's not just a passion-driven, but actually still quite like market or growth conscious strategy.
That's right. Yeah. It should be a market-driven.
Yeah. So do you agree with Dr. Liang's perspective, Mr. Neal?
Well, I think that diversity in tech is really important. So that's the direction that the question's going in. I think the stat for founders is 2% of the founders get funding. Like, if you look at something like versus or more famous says it's 100 times harder to raise money as a new founder or to be a new founder. The other stat is I think it's like 6% of all people in decision-making positions in venture capital. So, all you can do is you can either talk about something or you can change it. So a lot of that, just over 25% of our CEOs are women, and then just under 40% of our investment teams. So
that's wonderful.
So that's that bucket. And then to answer your original question, the bigger problem that I think about quite often is how you, for education in the next 5 years, is how you identify what they are today as a cross-section of their skills, and then how you identify what the right next skill to teach them is so they can actually move up in their career path. So for reference material, there's a professor out of MIT Media Lab named Yad Wawa. One of the largest talks are published. And he maps ONET's database skills across all functions in the US. And he starts to map how people, as they move from the center of the coast, and how they move from up in the grid, they move from like the right hemisphere to the left hemisphere of job functionality. But there's really no work being done to figure out how you identify what the right skills to move them from up with their life and their trajectory. So a lot of research is being done on that. I think the people who figure out what those actual pathways are to specific careers. It's going to be really good. We have a company called Robo. So in our portfolio, they target liberal arts majors who are having trouble getting on tech. So take like a PhD in art history from a liberal arts school, really hard for them to get a job. But that person has extremely high EQ, is very disciplined, has the ability to communicate with media, is willing to put in a lot of work over a long period of time. But they can't get a good job because there's no jobs for them. So the other half, you have the demand side of the marketplace, the tech company that really needs a product market but doesn't know where to get into the product market because there's no training program for product marketers. So what this company does is they partner with the demand side marketplace, and so they job providers like Terra, in this case, Terra. And then they go to universities and go acquire students that have super high IQ and high discipline, et cetera. They train them in how to use Marketo effectively. Some Microsoft over. So making that last to get that final skill that is just technical enough to get through the hurdle. That's an example.
This is a definitely great example of how some of the innovations exactly in business models basically are driving changes as well. So not only the tech side.
So the business model there is really easy, right? So like it really is fundamentally in the business model education. So you think about education as a triangle. So like the link between learners, which is now lifelong learners, and employers is broken because education is innovation is broken. So you have to add a new system to reestablish the trust between employers and learners. And so that is now a new marketplace for all kinds of skills. Rootkit is one example of that. Supposed investment in Robo is another example of that. But really establishing trust from the demand side, the supply side will show up. And what that looks like from a business model is really the partnership between the marketplace and the demand side players, which are suppliers and capacity. And they end up subsidizing the business model, they end up subsidizing the marketplace by seeding that marketplace with capital, et cetera, effectively making the learning opportunities free for the students. And then they get paid on the back end by one acquiring great people for a lower cost. And that's how it gets.
So Manish, from the CVC community and also some other startups that you work with directly, what's a trend that you're observing?
I can speak to the AI specifically in the classroom. So I don't think teachers are going anywhere, nor should I think they should go anywhere. Teachers are here to stay, and AI is not going to do anything to make a dent in that. I do think AI has the possibility, technology and AI broadly, have the possibility to do specialized tutoring on specific topics. And I'll just break this down into a very concrete example. I had one of my students the other day ask me how a for loop works in code. In case you don't know code, this is a way to do something over and over again for a specific amount of time or iterations. And the way that conversation can go is finite, right? There's just the way that the question and the answers can go based upon asking how a for loop, based on how to explain a for loop, it can go in many ways. And so I think AI has the possibility to look at where those problem sets that have a finite discussion set, if you will, and figuring out ways to like bring in a specialized tutor for those questions. I think there's a way to move the needle there. But general, broad understanding of abstract concepts, I don't know if AI is there or will ever be there, to be honest.
So there are some doubts. There are also, I want to point out one trend in the marketplace, which is Robo ourselves experienced as well. So I grew up in China, and then we started Robo right here, facing NASA Ames, so Silicon Valley company, and then we launched our China office actually 1 year after we established here. So we sort of expand back. And then being a robotics company education sector, we noticed that, or we learned that the Chinese market indeed is the world's largest education technology market today. At the same time, regulations on data is very different. So while we acknowledge the trend that all tech companies are becoming data companies, and then we figure out some strategies to turn the data into insights, and then some maybe becoming product features as an AI product. So mentioning Robo has experience in China and market size and data, there's one thing for us is that the amount of data, the type of data we're able to accumulate actually working in China is quite differently regulated from other parts, from us working from other parts of the world, and which, in our own team's analysis and also what we're hearing from other tech companies, that this, in some sense, became a different competitive advantage or competitive edge for companies that operate in different regions. So the question on this is, so when we talk about AI companies, AI startups, or specific AI and education applications, do you think for some companies, because they serve certain region or they serve certain sector, that they already gain some edges over other companies, even on the cost of data privacy and all that? And from the investor community, how should we think about it to avoid risks?
Okay. Well, I'll feel it from my perspective as working for a large company that's moving into the AI education space. I definitely think that it's such a fast-moving field that a diversity of different approaches, different regions, different backgrounds, all that gives all these distinct companies an edge. It's going to be there's hardly going to be any monolithic approach. And so NVIDIA partners with a lot of small startups, I think primarily for that reason. The expertise is just there in so many different subfields that, from my personal experience, okay, I'm not an expert in bioinformatics, so I partner with a startup that does bioinformatics to produce a genomics AI training lab. And so that's just, a big company isn't going to be able to create that kind of specialized educational experience. So yeah, I definitely agree that this is going to be a very distributed problem. The problem of AI in education is going to be broken down and tackled in a bunch of different ways by a bunch of different groups.
Interesting. So, also, echoing back to the recent Facebook Capitol Hill experience, right? So, Manish, you want to comment, especially given your White House experience there?
I think to make AI work and broadly to make future technology work, you need to have access to data. It is the fuel to push AI forward, to push machine learning forward. And I see it encountering headwinds going into the future with Facebook and with, when you look at high schools, especially minors, there's a lot of data privacy laws about what you can capture and record about students in high schools and middle schools and so on. So that's definitely a challenge, and I don't know what the solution there is. I think part of me wants to say move fast and break rules, and then just make it de facto hey, we solved the problem, look how great the advantage is, and then let's change the data privacy laws because of that. But sometimes that works, and sometimes it fails.
So is the question foundationally about data?
Yeah, edge of certain companies, and then if data is a center, determines that.
So I think for any company to really be successful, it's only a distribution channel or a data asset that differentiates from ones like yours. But in general, a lot of enterprise companies have a lot of data, but they don't know how to tap into it effectively. And they have a wealth of resources and they want to use AI systems, but they don't have a good plan to move forward with their systems because they don't know what to do with all the data that they have or how to use it effectively. So it's beyond education, learning that it's not just like the ownership of data, it's like directing the data in a thoughtful way. And for China, obviously, that's a whole different animal. The path I've seen that companies going from the US to China have been successful is to do JV, but I'm sure there are better ways.
Interesting. And they had, of course, your work also cross borders a lot. So, do you want to comment on that?
Sure. We actually mostly we only invest in US companies, but we do work with a lot of tech companies for collaborations in China as well. So I would say if you rely on, have less regulated data to be your main competitive advantage, that competitive advantage stay too long. It has to be, in the end, I think the playing field will be even. And as the younger generation has increased awareness of the data privacy, I think that will change. So yeah, for developing markets today, you may see less regulation. Probably people are less educated about data privacy, how do you protect the consumer data. But I think that will be changing very quickly. So I wouldn't see any startups or company rely on that to be your sole competitive advantage.
Well, very interesting, actually, because you all have different backgrounds, right? So I think the comments you just made basically are reminding us that the edges of if we're looking at a startup in a tech space who are leveraging AI and then they want to build something, they want to use AI for education, to serve education. So there are many ways to have competitive advantage, not just data. Or do you think this is a common strategy for, is it universally true for all AI companies? Or
I think it's competitive strategy at a certain stage, but it cannot be the only competitive advantage you have for the company to live on.
So the next question is actually, it's asked in many of the AI and innovation conferences, not necessarily education, right? So people are doubtful, will say, oh, I'm not a big company, the big guys like Facebook and Google, and then they have all the data. So there's no way, my country, my model will be more accurate than theirs. Or there's some other companies will say, oh, if we're a startup, we'll start from, find like a marginal ad, actually start from there. So back to our topic, new business model. What would be your suggestions or advices to aspiring entrepreneurs here in our audience who wanted to use AI for education or any sector that's for social impact or social goods?
I think one advantage startups have over large tech companies, you can have the sheer focus on that deep vertical. Large tech companies, they are everywhere, they're in terms of mass market. Well, for startups to become a competitive advantage, you have to be really deep focus on specific sector, specific application area to start with. So that to develop deep insights, and you will have, based on your good data on that, you will have your competitive advantage. So I don't think you should worry about that, but you really have a strategic move right from the beginning. What's your key focus? How you develop competitive advantage?
So Manish, are you seeing that startups, small teams, are totally confident, or there are, they have to deal with some of the issues that the big players in the space?
I think platform risk is real. We've seen many startups who rely on the Twitter API or the Facebook API, and they get shut down, and then Twitter kind of makes that, or whichever platform makes that their own service. So I really think if you're at the top of the totem pole, top of the hierarchy, if you own and control the data.
So as someone from the big company, large platform, you know, more than 80%, you know, market share is actually driving GPU, driving AI. So if there's any concerns ever mentioned to you from your student, what are them?
So in particular, in the medical space, the access to data is the biggest problem. And this is amplified, okay, if you're a small program, plus there's HIPAA, there's the patient privacy protections, right, which are of course very necessary. And then on the other hand, it makes accumulating, you know, a data set that can actually train neural network from scratch very difficult. And so I guess my advice to a small company in any AI-related field is you have an ability, you have the flexibility to follow the data. Whatever you have access to, whatever you can do, you can then shift your focus a lot faster than a big company that seems dominant. You can say, oh, what we set out to do doesn't seem to be working, but we've got all this data, and what we found is this, let's make this our mission now. So that's your advantage as a smaller. It's smaller.
In Agile, so Nathaniel, yeah, because you actually just mentioned that very nice case of with it. So besides their interesting innovation in business models, what are the other interesting companies that you've invested? As good examples are always been.
Sure. So beyond EdTech, there's just a lot of good ones to choose from. So there's just a lot of trap value. The easiest way to really differentiate yourself as a small company is to go after a problem that has trap value or sits in between like two massive trends that you otherwise wouldn't have previously knowledge. So that the data, nobody else has that data either. Data stream for people to choose from. So an example of that is a company that we just did. We just did their Series A. It's called eSlot. So I'll pull it out. It's how many of you live in an apartment or have ever lived in an apartment? Great, 100%, perfect. And so in the States, 35% of people who go to rent an apartment are conditionally approved, which effectively means they fall into one or two buckets. The first bucket is they're like an extremely high competent foreign worker who doesn't have a credit score, or there's somebody who, you know, had a pregnancy or whatever, and their credit score is very good, but their effective alternative isn't very bright. They don't have any other options, and they can't get into an apartment because not many people have the ability to pay for the 3 months rent that they have to put up to move into a place. So this company basically established a new credit scoring system to their own system that they work with landlords with big apartment complexes to that actually, you know what, this person's good. We got them. And they take a $30 a month insurance premium instead of having somebody pay 3x their rent on the day they move in. Then somebody pays that over a lifetime of their lease. And effectively, their whole market, they have a 3% drop. So they're taking a small market that had an almost impossible time finding housing and bringing that to home city. So we're really proud of them. It's an entirely new risk model. It's an entirely new data analytics model for how they build their own new data to really apply that. It's already a natural problem. So in the US, which is a major housing is a major issue in the US. So that would be an example. So
yeah, this is another great example. Basically, not in a new company, not blocked from the opportunity of field other existing players already have the credit score system that actually turn this become an opportunity for themselves. Yeah, it's just very interesting. So, given that we have a time constraint, so I want to open up the floor to questions from our audience. We'll just have one microphone pass around, and then we'll take 2 questions, and then you can mention your name, and then you can ask a question, and you can even point who this question is for.
Hi, my name is Mark Rayala, and the earlier panelists said that blockchain was a solution to some of these privacy problems. Why isn't that a solution?
What platform are they going to go with?
I don't know specifically what they were referring to. Just,
So the biggest problem with blockchain now is that Ethereum is really the only platform that's launched in full. 2-second Google search will yield many results on why it's not a reliable system for anything of any real value. There's really no other protocol layers that have launched. A lot of them raised a ton of money, but none of them actually launched any product. And so there's not really any protocol layers to build an app on top of that would be really useful for any application. So,
yeah, so there's two sides to it. You can say that every startup started that way, you know. I mean, like,
that's true.
And so it's just conceptually understanding the talk isn't that a solution for big data privacy?
I don't know. It's a principle. It's possible, but I think the ecosystem is just not ready.
It's like a 3 to 5 year. A lot of protocol layers are planning on launching in theory in the next 18 months. It's kind of a roadmap. A lot of the recycling industry is kind of inflated with Bitcoin government conflict. So there's not as much money driving back into the system to profits in the companies, so there's not as much development, so they push out the timelines from like 2 quarters to 6 quarters. So I think they do not really see anything real for a little bit. So yeah, it's nice in practice, but in theory, not in practice.
It's too much hype, so people are less focused on problem solving rather than just issue ICOs.
Okay. So this is a sort of one question. The question relates to the conference. How do we use these new education technologies in order to inspire creativity? And specifically, with because of products like the healthcare industry and other industries where as you bring in new technology, you have either these trade-offs between scaling to large groups of people and losing the unique human connection, uniqueness of the user. And so you work at an organization that's 10 girls. They're working in an organization where job programs, you guys fund companies, and my question is, who is doing really well to inspire creativity and treat the users in order to bring out their curiosity?
I'd like to say I am. And that's because we, at least with the nonprofit I volunteer for, is with it. It's always going to be humans teaching other humans at the end of the day, and we're using technology to assist with that. We have a homegrown IDE that we made, but that at the end of the day is used by people and in conjunction with people. And so I think to your point, I think the spirit of your question is like, are we going to be all numbers at the end of the day and lose that human touch and empathy, at least in the classroom? And my answer and what I try to do every week is say no and teach kids and work with these girls on a person-to-person basis.
Yeah, I'll give you an answer. So Greenfig is this platform to learn how to be a product the number one factor that enabled people to be inspired to keep going, as opposed to groups which have like a 90% fallout, something like this, was real-time mentorship by industry professionals. So building that part as a major feature of the platform was something that was developed over time, but once we understood that was the key motivating factor to keep people learning and interested, which effectively goes back to the point of people inspire people, they keep them curious. They've done a really good job of embedding in their platform that seems to be the driving force.
There's one tech company we invested in, I don't know how many from the schools. This company is called Piper, that's for paypiper.com. The product they developed is the kids' first DIY computer. It came as like a puzzle box, but everything's real, and real connectors, wires, chips, and strings. This is built on the Raspberry Pi platform, so kids can learn coding through playing Minecraft. So what's fun about this today, they are in over 1,000 US schools, used as one of the top choice for STEM education. So what it makes difference is it makes kids really believe themselves right from the beginning. They can be creative. They can create all sorts of games by themselves. Of course, they can teach kids coding, machine learning as well in the future. Right now, they're more focused on getting into as many schools so kids can start using them and create stuff. So the product, you can check it out actually on Amazon, one of the top ranking creative education product. It's ranked as the 2018 Tech Toy of the Year, and the founder, Mark, he has also been chosen to Forbes 30 under 30 in education. So you can check on that. So what this example is, this kind of product will change kids how we learn and also how we teach them. A lot of times we have to really just unleash their creativity so they can continue to learn by themselves. And that might be the most, I would say, the best way for a lifetime learning, a lifetime education.
Hannah is definitely one of the best investors that startups want to get, because she will always be marketing for you, right? And I know this is a really good question, because it basically really echoes the question of the one we're asking outside. How do you feel about the future of AI and education? So this is also how we can close, and then we'll have Stephen to share his thought, and then we'll close from there.
Okay, well, just to roll with the theme of the last question as well, I think the number one problem is access, because if you want to unleash people's creativity, AI already has the tools to do that. I can't paint like Picasso by hand, but with the help of some AI, it can imprint that style onto what I can create, so that what I can see in my mind can be realized. I can't compose like Mozart, but you feed enough of his symphonies through a neural network, and just with a few bars, I can crank out something new. So once students can start to see these applications, so that they don't have to be a math genius or a coding genius to reap the rewards, you can see an explosion of creativity. So just getting them access is the number one priority, and then people will take it from there.
So I think this is a wonderful closing for this panel. Startups, innovators don't have to be afraid, even if there are big giants in the space. If you are curious and creative enough, you can create a great product, right? So I hope you can also keep sharing. How do you feel about the future of AI and education outside and in front of our conference logo wall? That's also the lunch session. So lunch is on now, and then it goes for another 30 minutes, and then starting from 1 p.m. There are the other workshops and also our next sessions. And then just want to mention, so in the afternoon we will actually be very strict on our time, because we will have one special session. It's the presidential candidate. He will be joining us from a live video, so that one is just fixed time. So I hope we can continue mingle, having conversations, grab food, but also be here and in the sessions that you want. Thank you very much, and let's give another round of applause to our panelists. Thank you.
comprehend.
所以他现在还是在直播当中是吧？
对，是的。
OK。
所以其实我们在这里聊天，大家都能听见。
9个人。
变成只有9个了。
因为大家可能
睡了。
对。
还可以，一开始100多。
但是这个是对啊，那个时候还没完全睡嘛，12点多这个。那这边，我想知道就是这边就全程一直记录，然后我们后来可以看回放的，对不对？哇，太好了！
本来也忘记了。看博鳌论坛的主会场，它的博鳌论坛的分会场也就600多人。
对，然后最多3000多人，对吗？最多3000多人。
而且它可是白天。
哦，这样，所以对我们是蛮好的了。到现在是几点？这9个人当中不知道有几个是咱们的。对吧？一看大家都在看。不错了，开始100多人。
从点一做起。
对呀，当然，所有人都是这么发展。那小孩，就像小孩，他一定是先不停的体验各种伤痛，他才可能知道怎么样不让自己受伤。那叫怨明理是吧？
对。
然后你叫袁行远，你们的名字太难搭了，还是。
英文名叫 Maxwell。
你不知道啊？那是你同事，不是我同事。你叫什么？你有英文吗？
英文名可以叫我 Bob，B-O-B。
Bob。你是他的歌名？
不是，是我妈当时给我起的这个。我不清楚她为什么要起这个名字。
好的，挺好的。我知道，你们就因为这么简单，比较好记。就是他们刚刚有没有交代说还有多久可以下班？
有啊，现在就还有20分钟嘛，就是1点钟，现在40几，10几分钟。这个写了吗 ？Next section 1 p.m.
哦，看到了，不好意思。看看现在有几个人，那9个人还在不在？就9个人，其中包括我嘛，对不对？因为我上去他肯定显示了。11个，居然还多了一个，不错嘛，
对吧？是，
这样聊天的效果要比，这个是之前的吧？
之前。
他们是不是就在坚持的？所以这11个人当中都是自己的。
肯定有这个软件的开发人员啊。
你们辛苦了！如果你们还在听的话，你们太棒了。好酷！
不够棒。而且我是
熬夜的精神
有问题，这产品有问题，我回去还得再努力。
那我告诉你一些那个客户回馈哈，因为我之前是跟那边一个朋友聊，对他有关注到那个，他说对这个软件很酷，对，但他也是说，那个翻译有点好笑。但是我说那个还比 Google 好一点，因为 Google 的更好笑。说 Google 的那个整篇的就会语无伦次，就是很怪，完全看不懂他在说什么，然后或者用一些很奇怪的措辞。
Google 的问题是在于它不是那个同传。
当然，
就是它的速度不够快。
对，我们就翻译结果来讲吧。
但是它是这么个玩法，就是
你好。
I'm going to speak something and it can recognize, but it will not continue recognize.
那他已经开始
speaking and the end.
对呀。
Not continue speaking and continue translation.
我觉得他们肯定没有在专注的去做这一块。那开发这一块可能就完全是一个附加的，他并没有那个 而且是不是它，比如说它囊括的这个语言系统太多了？哎，你换一下俄语文是吧？Теперь знать, как мне говорить. 这个很好，对，这个是完全是正确的。Меня зовут. 哎，为什么没有翻译？为什么？什么明天再说？那这个完全不一样。这个，как дела？这个是最简单的一句话，如果都听不出来的话，那就快点不再听了。他是不是在说？他是不是在听英语？没有，在听中文。
刚才是听原动语。
Здесь молодец. Здесь много человеков.
但是他根本，你把这个投上去更加
是吗？
因为你看到了，它是一句一句的，就是它不是连续变化的。
当然，对，它没有办法去做长篇的，你们这个肯定是不一样的。连续变化。Говорит， 这个不一样啊，这个 говорит， что говорит？ Как тебе это？
然后它就停止了，你说完一句话它就到了。
对，你换一下英语的。
所以它是根本不可能是那个停止这件事情。
如果我们说中文的话，我们现在是在这样的是吧？我们现在是在一个好奇心论坛，你能听懂我们说什么吗？如果你能听懂我们说什么，我就算你棒；如果你听不懂我们说什么，你实在是太笨了。但是你怎么连一个标点符号都没有呢？那其实也说了蛮长的呀。
是的，但是它会中断，就是你不能一直放在这里。比如说你刚才停止了，然后它就会，现在就没有了。
埋场。
现在就，比如说现在我们说话就没有了。
对。
很小意思那个。
就连续的。试一下你的那个。试一下你的。它会做长篇，只要你不退出，对不对？
你好，我现在说几句话。
我们聊天的过程都可以被记录吗？
好，你现在应该可以直接说话了，我们随便说什么。
但是好像他现在没有主体嘛，没有。可以啊，哇，我们说点说什么特点？对，它有个别字的这个识别还是有问题的，但是整体来说是不错的。
对，总体来看是可以识别到有什么内容的。
那它是，
而且它也不会丢掉什么内容。
但它怎么样选择？比如说一个段落一个段落冒出来，它是怎么样选择这个段落？
背后有一个算法，比如说，如果人们经常说这么多，它就可能就这样断掉；如果是说了一半，就是那么它就会再等你一下。
吃葡萄不吐汤皮儿，800标兵奔北坡。好吧，好吧，我服你，你太酷了。哎，这个是，那为什么会冒出这个呢？
就是他判断你说的词有一些是专有名词。
那比如说你说的这个距离，你要靠近它吗？还是说它的收音范围有多远？
收音范围可能就只有30-40厘米这个样子吧。
哎，我们不如把它们转过来，我们就是录过程要别人了解多一点这个彩云小艺，然后也可以直播过程前也一样。反正现在在后场转过来，那个线可以转过来。 或者是我们拿凳子过去，你不用转它，我们拿凳子过去。好吧，你确定够吗？对了，好的。因为现在反正是在中场休息，我们就一起在研究这个软件哈。因为好像我们刚刚试了 Google 的那个翻译的这个软件，它们两个是非常大的区别。因为 Google 的软件可能就是一个段落一个段落，它只是记单句的，对吧？一个很短的一个单句。但是彩云小艺它可以记的是很整段的一个对话。对，彩云小艺可以记得是整段的对话。对，它可能这样这样的，对对对，它是整个对话都可以控制。就我想以后如果是真的是想来硅谷亲自去参加这些科技大会的人，即便英语不好的情况下，你完全就可以下载这个彩云小艺的这个软件。当然，它主要是在英语国家是比较好，因为它现在的这个
目前日语我们也是全球最好的，对
日语和英语主要是这两个语系吧。以后可能会15个语言就要上，年底
是的，对，
年底15种语言就要上了。我刚还试了一下，彩云小艺对，现在没办法识别别的，但是你看我们整个说话的过程，它在不停的在记录，就是不停的在翻译我们所有的，但是它现在没有那种留存功能，是吧？就比如说你翻译的历史记录，
是的，
对吧？那因为我记得就有一些软件，就有一些翻译软件，比如说它识别的一些文字内容，比如说扫描那个图片上的文字内容，
但是实际上它也是有留存的，只不过你看是哪种形式了。就是你还是可以把这个内容复制出来的，你可以把这个内容进行分享，你也可以复制。就是只是它没有那么方便，就是它没有多条复制功能。我们可以如果有多条复制，比如从这儿到这儿，比如说我们现在开始复制，然后它就会把所有内容全部拷贝到剪贴板里面，这样可能会更好。
所以彩云小艺的这个存在就非常符合我们今天的这个话题 AI 和教育，因为我相信像彩云小艺这样的翻译软件呢，而且它是同步的，就相当于同声传译，你随身带了一个翻译，对吧？一个完全是一个翻译，这个就是一个智能机器人嘛，就是一个智能机器人，对，可以这样的在服务人类，就是在服务我们。而开发者呢，对开发者他就是很好的利用了这些科技来去服务于人类，让我们的日常生活更便利。但是我刚记得就是那个就是我们看整场会议前面一段时间那些演讲者在聊天的过程当中，我发现一些有趣的现象。
我去看一下那边那个。
对，你去看一下。但是他现在还在进行。
对，还在。
哎，这边也变化了。但是我不知道还能不能看见直播，但是我有一些很好玩的观察。我刚看到那些大家在探讨一些问题的时候，非常的严肃。说对，当然教育本身是严肃的哈，但是我们去探讨一些话题的时候，你会发现，比如说那些演讲嘉宾需要思考，他停顿，他或者是他不知道该怎么答话，这个话与话之间的这种尴尬，这都存在。但是这才是人类非常好玩的地方，就是你可以有这些情绪，然后有一些无法识别的一些思考。这个是机器可能不会有这种有趣点的。哎，我们。
We're also looking for Dr. Alan Jean to be a step up. One of the panels is going on right now.
我们马上下半场，反正我觉得这个是永远机器就是AI 再怎么发达，它绝对是不可能取代人类的，因为人类的这种幽默感。你的尴尬，你的复杂的情绪，你的悲伤、喜悦，这些东西，虽然说有些人说这个机器是可以模拟这些人类情绪的，但是我觉得它给的反应是经过精准计算出来的反应，但是人的反应是不可预知的，这个才是我们人类最有趣的地方吧。所以我想不用有这种恐惧，觉得 AI 会取代我们什么。当然可能是在工作机会上肯定会有一些竞争，就人类和 AI 的之间的这个竞争，但是我相信一个最好的选择是希望我们能够非常好的去掌握这个机器语言，然后成为操控者，而不是一个被操控者，甚至是被时代淘汰的人。所以我想看今天的这个教育论坛 AI 教育论坛。这个话题的意义在于，希望大家有多一点的这种 不可预知的思维碰撞。我相信这个是比机器要有趣很多的。哇，这个是什么？还有一个问题。
刚才最后的
我们还要找一张声专辑，让我做一些事情。那它的英文怎么样？Want to say hi?
Is people watching?
Yeah.
We have an audience? How many people?
Yes.
Hi.
How many people?
How many people?
Maybe 10 or 9.
10 or 9.
Because in China they are sleeping. They are sleeping. It's midnight.
没关系，不管多少人，都是非常感谢你们继续。可能很多是自己人，但是非常感谢你们关注这个话题。这为什么变得这么大？
因为刚才那个电脑关机了，然后我得重新投一下，然后我怎么做呢？我打算把这个软件关闭，再重启。